These two ladies at a network meeting came over to me, and he said, your show was really good, but we missed Dimples. Good evening, everybody. I just got the finger from Jim. It's all part of the story.
Right.
Hey everybody, it's Darren from the Business Power Hour. I'm not going to be in the studio tonight. I'm traveling.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man, except Darren's not here.
I'm here.
No,
I'm
you're
right
not
here.
Does anybody see that? Darren is not here. Darren is away.
I am right here, right
Be quiet
next
for
to
a
you.
second. You're not here. What? I don't know if you got lucky.
Not the really interesting question.
That's a fantastic question, Norman.
Wow. See, I got fantastic. You just got good. I got fantastic.
Show's about him, so let's focus on that.
We are.
Were you drinking before the show?
Oh Jesus! Oh Jesus!
There we go. We got it.
It's good.
No, it's
Now we got to
Oh, there you go. Okay.
smother it.
So, I think you guys are using that thing.
It's making noise.
It's making music.
Is it?
Yeah. That's so sweet. That's so sweet of you, Darren.
By the way, this is a Yankee station.
It's a
Thank
Yankee
you.
station, John.
Thank you.
It's a Yankee station.
All right.
Unfortunately,
We got bugs in here. What's going on?
I don't know.
Do you spray? Get
You
an
know what?
exterminator?
It's that time of year where you're getting bugs and stuff. As long as we don't have bees, I'm good.
Yeah, all right. That's.
But
We have a lot of undulations out in the field. Undulations.
Is that a wine?
it's, no,
What the hell is undulation?
Fred, don't use big words. Hey, right?
So this
Help.
I gotta get him a cough button, Jim. What do you think?
A cough
Because-
button would be a good idea. Consider that a good question that he asked?
Great
There you go. There's
There
a
you go.
good
I
question.
got
Pythons
one.
and brains.
You're double D?
I'm double D. Show's about him, so let's focus on that.
We are. Hey, give me some loving.
How are you, Music Man?
Hello, Darren. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
I'm
this week.
absolutely convinced. I'm absolutely convinced that
telling
you
you.
got some kind of brain damage when you had that thing last year.
I'm telling you, and he called. And
Not classy, but classy.
Seeing interviews by Darren and the Music Man. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Siafi and Norman Wasserman.
let's do this. Yeah. Give me the finger. Okay, we got the finger now? All right.
When you see us on the screen, that means
That's what
we are live
That
now.
is that how it works?
That's how it
Good
works.
evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour with Darren Dimples and Norman the Music Man. Nice to
Whoa.
see everybody.
Wait a second. I'm hearing all kinds of rumors that you're not calling yourself the Music Man anymore.
No, I just added an extra name
You added an extra.
because of a different profession.
Yeah, but what is this name I'm hearing? Moving Man?
The Moving Man.
What is
I
this
am
all
now
about?
the Moving Man. Officially, I think it's about 3 months.
Is it
Yeah,
that
close
long?
to that, 3 months already. And for those of you that care, I kind of like put my headhunting business on the shelf because no one is hiring anybody, and I needed something to do during the day. So, coincidentally, this person happens to be a client of Darren's, and we all met at a network meeting back a bunch of years ago, and we, Rob and I, started having a conversation, and he needed somebody, and I was looking, so bingo, the Moving Man.
So yeah, but I don't hear about this from you, right? I hear about this on Facebook. So I'm on Facebook the other day and I see this.
Oh,
All right, Zipbox, thinking of moving.
that looks
so
nice. Who made that?
then call Norman the Moving Man of Zipbox. I'm like, what? What is going
If you
on
want,
here?
you want an honest to goodness, great quote, and even better service, because that's way before I even dreamt of being there.
Mm-hmm.
Their service is outstanding. They're movers. They're not people that you pick up on the corner. They're professional movers. It's the place to go. 631-987-8847. Oh, yeah. Did you watch that football?
Wait a
game?
second.
What?
You can't be. You know what? I think there's a conflict here, right?
What's that?
Because he could be advertising on the show,
He could be.
but you're like giving him free advertising.
I'll give him something because you're calling me and I'm calling everybody else. So that's
We'll
how it
work.
goes.
We'll work that out with Rob.
We'll see we'll have a conversation.
Well, I'll just add it to his bill. That's all.
It's simple. Anyway, did you guys, everybody out there, did you watch that Super Bowl game?
Oh
What
my
supposedly
God!
was
What
a
a
Super Bowl?
You know what?
Nah,
I was
disappointed.
First of all, you got to give Tom Brady credit where credit is due. The guy is just amazing.
Not my favorite person, but a phenomenal.
Yeah, you know, I was
athlete.
never a big fan of Tom Brady being with the Patriots and all, but for him to move to a team that last year didn't even make the playoffs, and then they win the Super Bowl with him at the quarterback,
It's phenomenal.
you got
Him and Gronkowski.
Yeah, and Gronk was great.
Gronk was huge.
looked fantastic during the game, but
Yeah, he's
overall, the game wasn't a
big
great
boy.
game to watch. But
And halftime. What was this halftime show?
yeah, well, you know what? I shut it off at halftime.
If anybody
because-
knows the type of music that this, what do they call, Weekend
Weekend.
was singing, I would love to know.
Yeah, if anybody wants to just chat us up and let us know what Weekend
What
is
kind
and
of
what he's all
music
about and all that
is
stuff,
Weekend?
you know?
And
You
Weekend could probably use a day during the week. So, so our guest could probably straighten Weekend out. He is a man that will get into your heart, into your soul, and explain certain things. This is like the third time he's been on our show. This is his book. Darren has a copy of the book too.
Yep, Simple Happiness. And, you know what?
We bought these. I gave them out for holiday gifts.
But let me ask you a question. Did you read it?
Yes. No, seriously. I did.
Okay.
I did.
So you can go through and you can talk about each
No,
one
I
of these
have to
chapters.
refresh myself. I didn't read it currently, but I read it when he gave. Look, he's even laughing on that. You see? He's right over here. Here
Right,
he is.
he's
right
there.
there.
He's right over there.
Should we put him on?
Yeah, we should.
I think we should.
Let's welcome Jim Ryan from Jim Ryan Talks. Hey, Jim, how are you this evening? Thanks for joining.
Great.
Nice
Happy to
see
be
you,
here,
Professor.
guys. And I'm glad you liked the book. I read it too.
I hope so.
So, Jim, tell us about your journey in becoming an inspirational speaker and how Simple Happiness came about.
Well, it goes back to the year 2000. I mean, it's been my career has kind of developed as I've grown and I've developed. I used to be a teacher. I taught in a junior high school in Bethpage. I taught French and Italian, and I was a guidance counselor. And that gave me summers off. So in the summers, I was fortunate enough to get a job managing the East Hampton Tennis Club out on Montauk Highway. It's a high-end private club with all these millionaires from New York come out there, for the summers, mostly on the weekends. And I had that job for 7 or 8 years. It was a great dovetailed position with my teaching. I would bring my family out to the Hamptons. We had a place in Sag Harbor, and it was idyllic. It was not a difficult job. The weekends were pressure, but during the week I got a chance to play some tennis. My kids got to take some lessons. And over the course of those 8 years there, I decided I was going to leave teaching because I saw a different side of life that I didn't know as a teacher. And I used my connections at the club and got into business. At the time, there was a company called Shearson Lehman Brothers, and the president of the company was a member of the club. So I prevailed upon him, and he gave me an opportunity to make a career change. So I became a financial advisor, had to leave the tennis club. I left teaching, and I was a financial advisor for 25 years. And that was a great run. But I've always been interested in personal development. I've always read a lot, gone to seminars and such. And back in the year 2000, I just realized I had all of this stuff in my head. And I said, what's the point of having it in my head? I got to get it out of my head. So I spoke to some friends, and I was directed to the jail, as you guys know, out in Yaphank. And for the last 20 years, every Monday I go there and I teach a class in personal development. It started off with men who were locked up for multiple DWIs. And the last 4 or 5 years, they had me teaching a group of women also who were locked up for multiple DWI convictions. And that was a turning point for me. I would go in there. I was a teacher, so I would come in. I would prepare my lesson every Monday. I'd go out, drive out there, get up early on Monday morning, and it turned out to be one of the best things I've ever done. It turns out that the guys and the gals, they like the message. They shake my hand. They say thank you. And about 3 years into that, I said, these guys and gals like the program. Maybe people on the outside will like it. So I came up with a talk, and I wrote to libraries on Long Island, and I started giving talks in libraries about how to be happy. And one talk led to another, and along the way, I wrote that book, Simple Happiness. I fashioned myself as a motivational speaker as time went on, as I developed my craft. Then I said to myself, I can separate myself from other motivational speakers who don't have a book by having a book. It gives me a little credibility, kind of like a business card.
So,
Do you have credibility too?
I
You have a book.
I do have a book.
What's the name of your book?
I have a little bit of credibility.
What's the name of your book?
Don't worry about my book has to be rewritten because it's out of date.
Just trying to segue into helping out here.
No, I appreciate you trying to help me out
that.
here. So it's you're trying to get Rob off the hook from paying advertising fees. That's what you're doing. I get it, but
You should watch once in a while.
But simple happiness. I mean, it's been a very stressful time. All right.
Yeah.
Over this last year for everybody, at first everybody's like, and I was at a client today and we were talking about it. And we said, you know what, when this thing first started and we said we have to, shut down all the businesses for, was it 4 weeks or whatever it was, 2 weeks, everybody was like, okay, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And we'll be back, a couple of months tops, we'll be back. Well, you know what, we're going into a year now. Right. So, come March, it's really a year that all the quarantines started happening and all the shutdowns and stuff. And from what I see and what I'm hearing, people are very stressed out over this. Right. They're it's just tremendous pain that people are feeling, but by being locked up and being home.
We're all subject to that to a certain degree. And I'm looking back at this past year and I'm a little disappointed with myself that I didn't really rise more to the occasion. I felt the same stress. I felt the same isolation, the same loneliness. I mean, I give talks. There were no more audiences. There was no audience. And I'm not the most technologically oriented person. So for a long time, I shunned the Zoom concept. And, as a result, I kind of just coasted through a year. And I'd watch TV with my wife and there'd be some kind of a news program and they'd introduce a guest and the guest had written a book. And, and then they'd have another guest, a politician or somebody, and he's written a book. So I wrote this book a while ago. So after, every once in a while, my wife would say, well, Jim, when are you going to write another book? I could have written another book over this period of time, but right. I felt that stress. I felt that isolation.
And you had perfect purpose to write the book because of COVID. That gave
Absolutely. you. It's true. And like I say, I'm disappointed in my own journey for this past year. And it's something that I lived through and I suffered. And that's why I can relate to a lot of people who have, not done a lot for the year also. I have not just obviously, and now I'm going to take advantage of this. It's a humbling experience to admit that to myself. But
let's talk for just 1 second. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
In your book that you wrote,
yes,
you have there that there were 52 ways to enlighten yourself.
Yep.
How many of those 52 ways, probably considerably more, but how many of those 52 ways would you need to enlighten your life with COVID?
My thesis, and it's not my thesis, it's a thesis that I share with other, personal development gurus. It's all about what's going on up in your head. It's all about your thoughts. And if we can manage our thoughts and understand kind of like being aware of what's going on, living in the moment, understanding the circumstances, understanding the stress, you're able to pivot and make something better out of this situation. So it all starts with your thoughts, and there's many chapters in there that I could pick out that make sense. But one that I always like is, start as soon as you wake up. That's one of the chapters. And that's kind of how I'm beginning to get back into the groove of start as soon as you wake up. Throw your legs over the side of the bed. Stand up. I mean, what's your thought? It could be, thank God I can get out of bed by myself. Understanding that this there's a lot to be grateful for, even though there's stress galore, suffering galore. Personally, we all have a lot to be grateful for, and that's what we can draw on to kind of rise above the stress.
So, in your book, there's a lot of different things that you talk about, and how to deal with that. And I got a little surprise for my friend Norman here, who, he's been wanting
to write a book about me.
No, I didn't write a book, but he's been wanting me to set up an opportunity for people to call in and ask questions. And I think this is a great topic for people to do that. So if you want to call in right now at 631-619-7500. That's 631-619-7500. Tell us about the stresses that you're going through these times. We want to hear about it. We want to hear what's going on.
You're really sneaky.
You know what? I'm trying to do a professional job here. So
really,
so everybody can really do this. But
give us
a call now, right there, bam, right on the
$619-7500.
screen too, right? You don't know how much work goes.
Who's going to be the first phone call?
Who's going to be first phone call?
Somebody who lives in New Jersey.
Oh, you think John from Hazlitt's going to be our first phone call?
I don't know. Could be. Hey, maybe Jim. Maybe you could just scream to your wife. Make the first phone call, honey. 619-7500.
I told her to leave me alone for an hour. I'm going to be on a TV show, so she's behaving herself.
There you go.
So you got peace. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, peace. Yes.
And read the book.
I gave a talk just the other day on Zoom at a senior living facility. It was kind of like a community thing to get them to know about the facility. And I gave a talk for an hour or so, and they had, questions at the end. And this kind of topic elicits ideas and questions from people, because everybody's got their own perspective on what they should be doing and what they have been doing and what they could be doing. And it was interesting to hear some of the questions.
Well, one of the things, Jim, that you talk about in the book, and this is something that, even from a business perspective, when I do my business coaching, this is something that is always a challenge, right? Is change. People don't like change. And they'll go, okay, yes, I need to change. And for a week or a month or for a couple of days, they'll make the change they need to make. But then what happens? Right? They fall right back into the way that they were doing things before. And
change is tough.
And all of the things. So talk a little bit about how your ideas on how to stick with it.
Again, the whole thing is about the thoughts. And I've been paying attention to this personal development guru. His name is Mike Dooley. And if you don't know him, you could look him up online. He's got daily little missives that he sends out that can be really poignant and to the point. And his thesis is thoughts become things. And
that's true.
We just went through a 21-day training program about taking one thing that you want to achieve in your life. What's the one big thing? And it talks about a general thing. He talks about, do you want to have wealth and abundance? Do you want to have friends and laughter? Do you want to have health and good health? One general category in your life, and just see yourself living that life of your dreams in whatever general sense it might be. It might be family harmony. It might be, friends and happiness and laughter. And just for 5 minutes a day, really focus on the end result of what you want to achieve in a general sense. Because he says sometimes we get so caught up in the minutia, in the individual, in the actual, how is it going to happen? He says the hows are the cursed hows. You can't get caught up in the hows because then you get bound up. But
isn't that where most people fail? Is because they're sitting there going, it'll never happen to me, or I'll never be able to get it done.
And but that's not a how. But don't you have to have a how to question yourself and how to get, like I just said, to where you want to go?
Yeah, but you need a why.
Well, that's it. The first thing you need a why is, why do I want to have wealth and abundance? Why do I want to have, friends and laughter? Why do I want to have health and harmony? And everybody's got their own why. Everybody's got their own thing that's important to them. And if you could just take, don't try to do everything. Try to take one category that you want to improve your life in and see the end result. And again, once you see yourself, with wealth and abundance, and whatever that means to you, whether it means, traveling the world, whether it means taking a cruise every 6 months, whether it means having a home in Florida or some beautiful destination. And you just see yourself experiencing that wonderful life. And what's going to happen is ideas will start to come into your head about how to make that happen. And the whole thing is you got to continue to follow through on it. And you got to continue to visualize your success. And you got to take baby steps to make it happen. You can't just think about it and visualize it. You've got to understand that it's going to take some baby steps to make it happen. But don't worry about how it's going to happen. He's a big believer in the universe knows what we want. And the universe will form itself to make that vision happen if we just let it happen. Not just sit back and dream about it, but take steps.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Jim, you have to take some kind of steps forward in order.
Absolutely. Whether it's having a desired weight, and it's not so much you have a number in your head. It's what that number is going to mean in your life that makes you feel so good about having achieved it. And
you just spent the last 21 days or whatever with this gentleman, with his program and whatever may be. You said at the beginning of the show that you kind of like wasted this particular year. How are you going to either make up for that? Not that we can make up for it, but what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now going forward to be happier?
Well, the thing that I was working on was wealth and abundance. Okay, that was the one thing that, I mean, you can work on more than one thing, but that's the one thing that I chose as my goal for this 21-day period. And I wake up every morning and I have a cup of coffee and I sit in my chair and I visualize my wealth and abundance in all its aspects. Whether it's spending a week on the shore, whether it's spending whatever it is for me, another second home, financial abundance where I never have to worry about going out to dinner, or I buy a new car every year. All these things that in my mind mean wealth and abundance. And so how am I going to do that? And again, I'm a motivational speaker. So at the beginning of the year, I kind of got 4 different areas of my life that are going to make this happen. One of them is more talks, because that's my bread and butter, giving talks. And it's amazing. All of a sudden, I'm going to be giving a talk at the Florida Realtors State Association Convention in August. I'm going to be giving a talk in Chicago for another state association. And my phone is ringing with small local things that they want me to speak at the Knights of Columbus. They want me to speak at a NAMI retreat. And so the fact that I'm on the phone making these phone calls makes, those are the baby steps that I'm taking. It's desire. It's how bad do you want it? That's really, and what are you willing to invest to make it happen?
And that's a great point, Jim, is what are you willing to invest to do it? What is the effort? I talk to business owners all the time, and, they open up their shop and start their business and hang a shingle and, whatever, industry you want to say, and they just think people are going to show up. Right. So a big part of doing that, and this gentleman next to me is a master at it, is going out and networking and meeting people and letting people know what your intentions are. I think that's a big part of what you're talking about, is that we have to let our intentions be known in order for it to manifest itself.
And so much of it is your self-belief, the belief that you're capable of whatever it is that you're visualizing, that's your ideal life. And I just decided I'm going to start to go after big jobs. I'm going to travel the country and giving talks to all kind of associations and sell my books. So it's all part of that belief of what you're capable of
Are you going to hire somebody to get you these leads? Are you going to develop these leads on your own? Because that's time consuming.
It is. It is.
If you're in sales, time is, and that's what you're doing. You're selling your services.
Yep.
All right. And you got to get a hold of Miss Right or Mr. Right in order to get them to say yes. And what do? Send me your resume, send me your promo package, send me this and all that. Is it better for you to have someone to do that for you?
Probably is, Norm. It probably is.
But like Jim said,
it costs money to do this. I understand.
But no, it's taking the steps. It doesn't have to be like perfect. Great example. Here's a great example. When I first moved into this office in November, none of this stuff was done. Right?
Absolutely.
I put like what, 1.2, 1.3 million into this to make this studio, right?
Well, that's what you did in your house.
My house. Here we go again.
Did you ever see his barn? He has a barn.
I don't have a barn.
Talk about abundance of wealth.
Don't believe anything.
Well, we should listen to Darren. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
But it was all. It was, and if you look at the last few shows we did out of here, things have changed. I just had new lights put in because the lighting wasn't right.
You want to be in here.
It's. But I'm making it so it's a presentable studio that people want to come to, and we're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting there, and we're putting, we're making the adjustments we need to make. But it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't like boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, boom, here we go. This was something that took a little time. We had to invest a little money. We had to, work out some kinks, and do that stuff in order to get to where we are now. But it goes right to what you're talking about, Jim. It's one of those things that I said, I want a studio in here and I want it to be the best studio, better than what we've ever had. And we're not quite there yet as far as I'm concerned, but I started with, okay, let's start with some equipment. Let's start with some of the cameras. We'll only do it from here and the guests will be call-ins. Like you're doing right now, type of thing. And we eventually got there. When we first started using the studio, Norm wasn't even in the studio.
No, I was. Well, that was for COVID reasons. And now he just surprised me today with the call-in number.
Right. So, every as we move along, but see, that was my manifestation of, I want a studio. And I want it to be my studio or our studio. And, but it didn't happen because I just sat there and go, I really want to have a studio. I had to do some work. I had to make it happen.
Yep. But you also, the reason why you did do the studio, I think, is because you enjoy what it is that we do.
Yes.
And we needed we liked having a place to go. We liked being next to each other and having people in the studio, the feely touchy, presence of having somebody here and getting the word out versus what you're doing. Now you're getting the word out, but you there's a fine line. We're missing something because you're not in here. We understand why you're not here, and our guests next week are not going. They're going, though they won't be in here either.
No, they won't be.
But the week after, yes, we give you an option.
So, Jim, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. So let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, Jim.
Well, there's many different ways. You can call me. My phone number is 1-866-JIM-RYAN, or the numbers are 866-546-7926. You can go to my website. There's a lot of information on my website, www.jimryantalks.com. There's a half-hour TV. I did a TV interview with the publisher of my book, Stephanie Larkin, and it's a professionally produced TV show, and it gives some insights into me and my work. And also, my email address is info@jimryantalks.com. So many ways to get a hold of me, and if you can always leave a message, I'll always call you back. I'd love to get phone calls.
And when we come back, we're going to talk more to Jim about all the things that are going on. And really, we want to hear your stories on how you're dealing with this stress and how you're moving forward,
or anything else that you want to approach Jim with.
Right, exactly. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Hey everybody, it's Norman from Friend Entertainment USA and Virtual Tribute Concerts. I got some breaking news. If I sound a little bit excited, it's because I am. And you can see I'm wearing one of my nice glitter jackets for on stage. And the reason why I'm wearing this jacket is because the Cure, the Friend Entertainment Fundraising Cure, it's official, it's live, it's well. We lived through it, we got it going. Concerts all over the country, concerts all over the world. Virtual concerts from Friend Entertainment USA and Virtual Tribute Concerts. We are there.
One of the greatest groups to ever come out of the Motown family.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's Dr. K's Motown Review.
Small business owners, are you having trouble growing your business? Do you feel like you're always swimming upstream? Do you feel like daily tension that I can't get ahead and I don't know why? Hi everybody, my name is Darren Sayafi and I'm a business therapist. What's a business therapist? Well, some people call us coaches, some people call us advisors, other people even call us strategists. We take a vested interest in you and your personal development as a person and as a business owner to give you the tools and structure that you need to take it to that next level. So don't wait. Give me a call today for your free consultation and let me show you how you can help yourself.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Right, is this the right time?
Yeah,
we did it.
You did it right this time. Okay, you did it good. You did it
That's
good.
because of Jim. He told me basically to concentrate and just
No, he said
follow
manifest your own
lead.
destiny there and make it happen.
That's good. Destiny is a wonderful
So
thing.
we're here with Jim Ryan from Jim Ryan Talks, and we're talking about dealing with the stress of 2020 and 2021. It's still going on. It's still happening. You know, look, I'll give you an example of what's, some of the stressors that people are dealing with right now. One of my cousins is getting married next month. Now, when they booked the wedding, they originally booked it in the fall of 2020, and they said, okay, springtime, it should be okay. So at the end of March, oh my, we got our first phone call. Let's see who that is.
Good evening. This is the moving man wanting to speak to Darren Dipples of CBMS, show. Oh, was that good?
No, that wasn't good.
That was the first phone call.
Good evening. Welcome to the Business Power Hour.
Welcome.
Who are we talking to?
This is Norman.
Oh, you called.
Oh, yeah.
You're a knucklehead.
I am.
You are a knucklehead.
Look at him. He's frustrated.
What are you doing?
I wanted to be the first phone
You
call.
wanted to be the phone. Okay, so you were the first phone call.
Okay.
All right.
I called myself.
You are a knucklehead. I tell you. I'm sorry, Jim. I apologize for that. So, like I was saying, my cousin's getting married the end of March now. And, I RSVP'd. And you got to go to a website now to RSVP. Everything's on a website, right? So go to there, and it says on the website that the church can handle everybody going to the church, but the reception hall is still under New York State quarantine regulations, and they don't know if everybody's going to be able to be allowed to go to the reception. So how do you plan? And the thing is, they postponed this wedding from last year, and they said, and they're not going to postpone it again.
Is it local?
It's local. It's local. It's going to be a Villa.
What do they do? Tell people to go home?
I don't know but they say just keep coming back to the website for updates. But I mean, can you imagine the stress that they're feeling?
What about the catering hall?
Well, and
everybody involved.
And that's it, right? So the catering hall, I guess they're going to get their base fee. But anyway, so Jim, what are your suggestions on how to deal with that?
Some of these things are just so far out. It's just so sad that we've come to this point that there's no answer. There's no answer. I have no answer for somebody who's trying to plan a wedding with, we're involved in that also. My friends of ours, their daughter's getting married and they don't know whether they're going to have a reception. It's just like, it's so crazy. I don't know how to, we just got to live through this. And unfortunately we're going to look back and we'll survive this. But in the meantime, some people are just really, really suffering stress wise. I mean, I don't have any answers for the financial stuff like that. Who knows what's going to happen? It's just annoying more than anything else that we're told we can't do this, we can't do that. And we've got to, toe the line, and for what,
Well, I got something that can help relieve some of the stress.
What's
and,
that?
not necessarily the money of the stress, but actually getting your book, Jim. All right. So go out and get Simple Happiness. Okay. 52 Easy Ways to Lighten Up.
I got an email, every Wednesday I send out an aha moment to my email list. And I got a response today saying, this was a woman from California. She said, Jim, could you say something about loneliness? She said, a friend of mine at work, her friend committed suicide out of loneliness.
Yeah.
And this is a huge issue.
Well, that's a big COVID problem.
It is. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Because we're told we can't go anywhere and people are just, staying home. And so the thing to do is to try to reach out to as many people as you can, as often as you can, just for a human contact, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email, mostly a phone call, I think, more than something, digital, or maybe a Zoom call or a FaceTime.
But even that doesn't always work, Jim, because you know what? Unfortunately, Renee was in the hospital for a couple of weeks with COVID.
Renee's my wife.
His wife. And, he was, because every time I talk to him, he goes, I'm lonely. I'm lonely. I'm lonely. I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not say that.
Yes, you
You're
did.
making me into a mush.
You are a mush, but he's, especially people who are used to always being with somebody and all of a sudden now they're not.
I had no one to argue with.
That's always a
me and him never argue.
No.
I don't argue. I argue with my wife.
But loneliness is a huge issue. We talk about the health issue of COVID, but little has been done about the psychological and the mental suffering that's a corollary, an unintended consequence of all of this stuff. So if we could just make it a habit of every day call somebody, and don't have to be somebody you think might be lonely, because we don't know what's going on in people's minds. Yeah. We wouldn't think that Norman would be lonely because of his outgoing, bubbly personality, but there he is. People suffer.
I have feelings too.
Yeah, people suffer in silence. They don't want to admit it.
You knew that was coming.
I have 7 grandchildren.
Yeah,
I can't see them.
Yeah.
The best I can do is once in a while, I'll drive up to the house. They'll open the door. I'll say hi. I'll have my mask on. Hey, Grandpa, come in. No, I can't, So if I don't show up, it's no good. If I do show up, it's no good. And, like you wrote, you have a chapter in your book called Stress is a Choice.
Well,
this is the choice.
Yeah, well, that was written.
I don't want stress. Nobody wants stress. So what kind of stress are you going to have? Is that the choice?
Well, this book was written before COVID. I mean, all the rules have changed now in terms of our well-being. It's such an uncharted territory that people are experiencing, the stress of loneliness and the financial stress. I'm not working. I have to wear a mask. All of these things that are imposed upon us for good reason. Well, maybe, but
I don't even mind the mask anymore. I'm so used to wearing the mask. It doesn't matter. Business wise, For Darren, I guess I can't. You've had a pretty good year.
Oh,
but
look,
we got a phone call.
I think we got
it's
John.
Jersey.
John from Hazlitt.
I think so.
Hey, John, how are you this evening? Thanks for calling the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man. John, can you hear us? I don't know. We can't hear you, John. Hold on. Oh, you know what, John? Hold on, brother. I know what the problem is. Hold on. Go ahead. Talk now, John.
I'm talking now.
There you are. How are you, brother?
What's up, Big John?
So, John, officially you're the second phone call on the show. Norm called in a few minutes
But you're officially the first phone call. You want to talk to Jim?
No, it's odd. It's not really. It's really odd that the phone number ends at 7500. Isn't that like if you're in an emergency on a plane, that's just call over 7500?
Yeah, that's true, John. Yes, the squawk code for in distress is 7500. So.
Any idiot knows that.
Come on. Any idiot knows.
Did you know that?
I'm in distress now.
7500.
No, actually, I didn't know that, but now I'm going to walk around yelling 7,500 to everybody.
Absolutely, everyone knows that. How do you not know that?
Oh, yeah, I don't live in New Jersey.
He doesn't watch Ad Disasters, John.
I think Kobe Bryant said that.
Oh man! Oh, that. No.
I'm just saying, how long did it take? It took them a year to find out what happened.
No, they did. It took them a year. That's typical.
But that's a conversation for another night.
Right? Yeah, that is, John. John. No, we're not doing Ad Disasters tonight, John. John, so you know what, John? This is good that you called in because I want to ask you this question. Right before COVID hit, or the November before COVID hit, and Jim, this goes to what we were just talking about. John had a quintuple bypass, all right, which put him out of work until COVID hit, and he hasn't gone back to work because of his condition and stuff. Now, John, how has that affected you by the fact that you kind of pretty much homebound, and it's like over a year now?
It was a year of Thanksgiving, so tack on a couple more months. I had 2 surgeries, that's why it was so long. But I'm kind of getting comfortable not working in spots where my wife leaves for work every morning, I gotta say. But, I think, and I think I've told you this, Darren, I would have enjoyed it more if I could actually go out and do stuff. But because of COVID, you can't really do anything.
So how is that affecting you stress-wise to be stuck in a house after after 2 major operations? That's the point we want to get to.
It's extremely frustrating. I lose sight of everything, days, time. It's a black cloud over my head constantly.
So, John, and I'm going to send you a copy of the book, John. All right. I mean, this is, and you know why I'm going to send you a copy of the book, because it is an easy read, and I know you'll be able to read it. So, no pictures. I'm sorry, but it is. Yeah, the font's big, and Jim wrote it with you in mind. Keep it real simple and do that. But
I gotta say, it is stressful. We wake up every morning.
Well, John, thank you very much for calling here this evening and disturbing our show.
Not disturbing.
Well, look at Jim. Jim,
7,500. All right. All right, John. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy. See you soon. It's once a week.
See, it comes down to, one of the tenets of my presentation is it's not what happens to us, but it's how we deal with what happens to us. That's always the case. And the question is, how do we deal with something, with stress? We can either say, another thing is energy flows where attention goes. If you're constantly thinking about how bad you've got it, how awful this situation is, it's going to be worse. So we got to have a turn in consciousness and focus on gratitude. See, that's the thing. Gratitude is always the way. And if we can, this is a good time to work on our gratitude. Write down 25 things you're grateful for and read it in the morning when you wake up. Read it when you go to bed at night. We got to start to, build ourselves up in a way that we can deal with anything that comes our way. It's amazing. I give talks, and somebody will come up to me at the end of the talk, and the person will have come up with a debilitating disease. Maybe it's MS. And they'll come up and they're with a walker. And the person will say, I've never been happier than I am now. And it's all perspective. We all can see, the good or the bad. We can all look at our abundance or our lack. And this is an opportunity to look at our abundance. It may not be easy to look at our abundance, the good things that are happening in my life, but that's an out. That's a strategy that can lift us up above the stress. Not easy, but if we can think about what we're grateful for every day, it's a start.
It goes back to that old saying, right? Somebody always has something worse going on in their life than you do.
Right.
So, it's get out of the woe is me. And don't get me wrong. I'm a big, believer in, I'm going to get mad. I'm going to get sad. I'm going to let me process and go through that. I'm not going to let it hold me down though. Because we all go through those emotions. We can't avoid those emotions. But like you said, it's how you deal with those emotions.
Yeah.
You sit home, forward. We were talking about TV. You watch TV and it's commercial time. Every 2 seconds, there's another commercial. So there are some really sad commercials on television. You watch the St. Jude's commercial, or you watch the ASPCA, adopt the dogs and the animals, and then you look at each other, like you look at your wife or your significant other, and you go, "So we didn't pay the rent this month. Who the hell cares?"
Right.
People have it so much worse than what you do.
Yeah, that's why
that's the point I guess you're trying to make.
It's perspective, exactly. But again, volunteering. Again, it's tough in this COVID time, but one of the chapters in my book is volunteer. Get out of your own way. Sometimes, volunteering is great because I'll give a talk and I'll say, who volunteers? And people will raise their hand. I work at the food pantry. I go to the dog, the animal shelter. I go, whatever. And they feel good when they're done with that volunteering experience. So number one, you feel good. And number two, like you said, Norman, it gives you perspective. You go visit, you may go to a nursing home and you go to the desk and say, who gets no visitors? And you go down to the room and you just talk for a minute or hold their hand for a little bit. You can't leave an experience like that without being lifted up. Not that you're...
And you know what? You can't do that now.
I know. I understand.
And it's a great thing to be able to do.
Yep.
Look how many people that would please if you were able to do that.
You can't even see your mother, who's in a nursing home.
Well, my brother, my younger brother, who's handicapped, was in a nursing home almost 3 years, and we finally got to the point where we were able to move him out into an apartment. But for this whole COVID thing, it was almost a year. I didn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I know.
And and now that he's in an apartment, now I can go see him and stuff like that. But it was difficult for all of us that we couldn't see each other, and and even in your normal family, it's like, because of everything, like Norman said, he can't go see his grandkids. Yeah. You can't even see the people that you would normally see in fear of, and my family is a very big family. Thanksgiving, we usually have 25 to 30 people. We didn't this year. We cut it back to like 9. Guess what? Somebody who was there tested positive for COVID the Monday after Thanksgiving. Thank God it was, they were asymptomatic. They tested positive once and then that was it. But, and nobody got it. But still, you just don't know. You just don't know.
My wife, as Darren said, was in the hospital. Here's the story. 3 weeks ago, she's a nurse. She works in a senior living facility. She's in administration, so she doesn't get so much with the patients. But twice a week, first of all, they take her temperature every day. Twice a week, they give her a COVID test. Once a week, she gets a PCR test, all negative. That was until Friday. Friday, she comes home. She's fine. She wakes up on Saturday morning. She has COVID. All the testing, everything. Now, it's 3 weeks, thank God. And she also got pneumonia at the same time. We had her in the hospital, whatever. I haven't gotten anything. I'm all around, her, and I'm around some other people from time to time. I go food shopping, I'll go pick up some, go to a restaurant, bring nothing,
Well, that's the stressful thing about this whole thing.
Exactly.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody even knows this vaccine's going to work. Right? So we don't know. We have no idea what's happening because there's no rhyme or reason as to why things happen. There isn't. There's no consistency to it.
And sometimes you just got to turn off the TV. You can't, it's good to be informed about what's going on, but to be, especially with, the whole political thing, that in itself can be such a stress. You got to turn off the TV. It's not going to, it's hard to do because some people, that's they get really psyched up about it, but you got to relax a little bit and turn it off the TV. Like you see those commercials, it's just heartrending, and it's just, maybe, okay, so you say, I'm going to send them $15 a month, and at least you can feel good when you're doing something. You're taking a step.
They make the commercials like that.
Yeah. You're doing something to relieve your stress, to feel good. Again, all of this stuff brings a little bit hollow from what's going on. But I always start my talk. I say, raise your hand if you'd rather not feel good during the day. Who would rather not feel good? And every once in a while, the wise guy will raise his hand, but most people want to feel good, but we don't do the things that we could do to help us feel good.
But isn't that part of too, Jim, is people who live in misery, and people do. It's a matter of habit more than anything.
It is. It's education. They feel they're stuck. They feel they're stuck in who they are. And they say, well, that's who I am. That's how I've always done it. And we got to understand that our thoughts are just thoughts. That's one of my talks, managing our thoughts. I am not my thoughts. And it's not easy to get through to people.
Change is tough. Change is tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Very difficult. But if you can start to make baby steps, it's a long life. That's one of the chapters in my book. It's a long life. So why not take a baby step and a baby step and a baby step and feel good about a little progress? You may slip back, but that's why you have my book, to read it over and over again, to help you get through these things. Because our life really is nothing more than a series of habits. And who's formed those habits? I have. You have. And if we form the habit, we can change it. Again, people say, well, it's my parents. It's how I grew up.
Yeah.
Well, get over it. It's you're an adult now.
I love that you said that, because there are so many people that immediately, I do this, right? It's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Stop blaming everybody else. Take responsibility for who you are, okay, and do something about it.
That's the second characteristic of happy people. They take responsibility. One of the things I talk about in managing thoughts, they've done a lot of studies on happiness, and the results of the prevailing wisdom is, out of 100% of our happiness, 50% is genetic. Okay, we're born of parents. We have tendencies. Okay, if my parents were the life of the party, chances are I've got an outgoing personality. If they were shy and withdrawn, chances are I've inherited some of those tendencies, and they're tendencies. 10%, they say, is our circumstance. Did I grow up in a happy family, or was it dysfunctional? Did I grow up in a safe neighborhood, or was it dangerous to go out at night? And you know what the other 40% of our happiness is? What I do with what I have.
Right.
So people, and it's all about our self-talk. We're talking to ourselves all day long about me, about my life, what I'm capable of, what I can do, what I can't do. And so often it's these negative things that I'm saying about myself, and we do it to ourselves.
Well, it's funny you say that, right? Because when I was younger, I grew up with 5 boys in my family, and it was tough for my parents because we had a handicapped, brother, and back in the late 60s, early 70s, it was difficult healthcare wise and everything else. Yeah. So it was a struggle for them. But we had, we were a happy family together. My mother used to say this all the time: "We're poor, but we're happy," and there's nothing wrong
See,
with
she kept telling you that, and
Yeah.
she believed it, and that's what came into that. You became that person because you kept thinking it. You kept thinking it. Okay, I'm poor, but I'm happy. You know.
Yeah.
And so many people say the opposite. I'm financially well off, but I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And they're going to be
There's
miserable.
so many people that say that.
Oh.
There are. There are.
No,
And
they're totally unhappy.
I have very wealthy clients that are miserable. They're
Yeah.
miserable people. And you sit there and go, why are you miserable? You have everything you want and need. And I think maybe that's part of it, is that they don't have everything they want and need.
You got to find something that does not make you miserable.
It comes up to your why.
I
To me,
found
it comes up to your why.
I found
Having a
something
why.
that does not make me miserable. Music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Music is the universal language, and it is that to me. And when I get depressed or when I get upset, the radio goes on, or I put on the computer and listen to Pandora or whatever it may be. I'm in the car. I put it on. Music makes me happy. And why? Because I used music as a child. All right. Because my mom died when I was 10 years old and I was really depressed. And forget about my dad for a second. I couldn't get happy. Music made me happy. Singing made me happy. So what am I doing? I'm the music man. Go figure.
No, you're the moving man.
I'm the moving man. I'm the moving music man.
It really is simple. That's, the bottom line is it's simple. We're born to be happy. But it's just a question of education. We do grow up and we have these tendencies, but we've got to see, my job as I see it is to open people's eyes just to the possibilities of having a happy life. So many people think they're stuck, but that 40% of my happiness quotient is what I do with what I've got. And we see it all the time. We see people who are, disabled, who are happy, people who are poor, who are happy.
Yep.
It's funny. It's fun to try to change that attitude in yourself.
Jim, we're coming right up against the hour. The hour, as always, flies
crazy
by.
how fast it goes.
What a great conversation we can go on with this. But let everybody know how they can reach out to you, get more information, have you come and do a talk.
Well, now that I'm comfortable with Zoom, I've got several opportunities coming up in the next month to do Zoom talk. So, if you want me to give a talk to your office or to your association, call me, 1-866-JIM-RYAN. My website is jimryantalks.com. There's a lot of information there. There's and get on my email.
What about getting your book? How do they get your book?
You can get my book is on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and put in Simple Happiness. It's there. You can buy it as a soft cover book. It's reasonable. It's $12.95. And you can get it on Kindle. It can be an ebook. It's also now available as an Audible book. You can go to my website, the Jim Ryan Talks, and there are about 6 various outlets where you can get it on Audible. So you can listen to it as you walk. You could listen to it in your car.
Jim, question for you. If I wanted to buy 10 or 15 books, is it best to call you directly so maybe you can give a deal to people?
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, Norman. Call me. You buy more than one, I'll give you a deal. I mean, people give these as gifts, as you have done, Norman. You've bought a bunch of books and given them out. Companies buy their book for their employees. It's just a great little book that could change your life, and it has changed people's lives. It's been a real blessing. So call me. Get more than one. Give them away. Get on my email list. Go to my website, and there's a little space on the top right-hand corner of the homepage. Get on my email list. You'll hear from me every Wednesday with a little uplifting thought. I call them an aha moment. Today was number 500 or 659. So
wow,
there's a lot of them out there.
So, Jim, we really want to thank you for being on the show. As always, you're a great guest.
Thank you.
And again, people reach out to Jim, go to his website, Jim Ryan Talks, find out more information. And if you want to buy some of these books are great. Like Jim mentioned, Norman and I bought a whole bunch of these and we were giving them out. we gave them out to a whole bunch of people, and they actually loved them. So thanks, Jim, for being on. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Next time I'll come to the studio and I'll enjoy the energy that exists.
You'll bring the energy.
You'll bring the energy.
Absolutely.
That's a big part of it. All right, my
sounds
friend.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, what a great show.
That was another disappears.
What do you mean disappears?
No, so fast. It just the hour just goes.
It always, you know what? When we always have really good guests, and our hours just fly because, well, it goes back to what we were just talking about. What makes you happy? You love doing this, right? What did you say last week? Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week.
It's therapy.
When Ron was in, you said, "This is therapy for me.
My therapy.
This is what gets me going. This is what I mean.
I don't need much to get me going.
No, it doesn't.
This is good.
Still,
I love chatting. I love meeting people. I like asking questions. I like to be asked questions.
Yep.
And it works out. It works out good.
All right. So what else you got going on? You got the 20th. We got
next week. We got a good show.
We got the show, right?
We have Dr. K's Motown Review here in the studio, and we're going to listen to some music and find out some history about how they all got together. It's very interesting. Not everybody gets to be a superstar, but there's a lot of talented people out in this world, a lot of talented actors and actresses and musicians that don't make it. When I mean
better than Weekend?
I'm sorry?
Better than Weekend?
Yeah. Nobody knows Weekend. No one got to us. And how did he get to whatever?
We can do that
before we get a lawsuit. I'll get on Monday. I'll get a lawsuit about a Weekend. But we're going to have Dr. K up here, and then the 20th, as you said, is going to be their show, which is going to be nationally streamed.
So next week should be a fun show because we're actually going to have the act that's going to be performing next weekend on the 20th. All right, so get your tickets now. Go to Friend Entertainment USA.
And get the code.
Right?
We have to change the terminology. It's not tickets anymore.
Get the code. Get the code.
We instantly send you a code.
7,500?
It's like 7,500. So now I know that. I learned something tonight.
You learned something good tonight.
That's good.
And go ahead. I'll give you one more Zipbox plug there. So, call the moving man. Call Norman, the moving man.
And that's my cell number. So you're going to get me directly.
Call Norm directly there. Well, you really can't see it. We got to get Chris.
No,
to
we got to get it to
us.
fix this up.
But other than that, everything is going great as far as it's tax season. We're getting busy. Things are happening.
Did you ever meet with Ron? Our guest from last week? Did you hook up?
No, I did not hook up with Ron yet.
Give him a call.
We're going back and forth. We just haven't set a time. That's all.
Okay.
You know who I'm meeting with tomorrow too? Matt Caselli.
Love Matt.
Right. So I'm meeting with Matt tomorrow.
Matt's great.
And a couple other people.
Ask him if he wants to come back.
I will.
He was a great guest.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
He had a lot of fun, and maybe he'll tell us.
But that's a long time ago. You the guys were supposed to meet?
No, he wasn't. No. Yeah, him and I were going back and forth, and we just couldn't coordinate times.
Okay.
So, but other than that, yeah. So we're way over time here, and we want to thank everybody. Next week we're going to have Norman's
Dr. K's Motown Review. Put on your dancing shoes and get ready to be in front of the camera.
And we look forward to seeing everybody right here, 7 p.m. next Wednesday night.
Have a great weekend.
Right from CBMS Studios. Good night, everybody.
Watch the snow and wear your mask.
Yes.